Oh man, so in this video, I'm going to share 4 worrying signs for Bitcoin, but yet still, why I might be taking a short-term long position. Guys, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. Check out the links in the description. As you can see here, on the hourly, the first of the worrying signs is this hourly Bollinger Band we are getting rejected for here on Bitcoin. Remember, if we get rejected from this Bollinger Band every other time we've got to the highs, we fall into the downside of the Bollinger Band, which will bring you back towards that 21,000 level here on the hourly chart. So that is one thing to watch out for, is do we get rejected from this Bollinger Band? I'm also seeing that we are in this continuation pattern, okay? So if I remove the Bollinger Band for a second, I want to show you that, remember, we are in this flag, and this flag has more of a chance of continuing its downward motion if we break to the downside. But as you can see, we still have some room to run up to the top of this flag. So I would not rule out right now a little bit of a run, maybe to this top area between about 21,700 to about even 22,000. I wouldn't be surprised even if we get to 22,000. The only way we flip bullish is if we get above 22,000 and hold it. Then we can say, okay, we've managed to avert the disaster. But until then, I'm looking out for more risk to the downside, because remember, we are in this pattern right now here on the hourly. In fact, let's go out to the 4 hourly so I can show you. And what you can see is we are in this pattern which has broken to the downside. And this is where it gets scary, right? Because remember what I said. I said that if you look at this continuation pattern, you take the measured move from the previous impulse wave, where does this price target take you? It takes you to $10,000. Yes. And that was the first time that any of my technical analysis actually brought up that number. And even now saying that number, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I have to be aware to the possibility of it happening, okay? So this is not me calling out a 10,000 Bitcoin, but as you guys know, I'm a big proponent of following the data. And if the data is showing me that, then I'm going to keep it on my radar, and I'm going to make sure I'm not oblivious to it, and then I have a game plan in case it happens. The last thing I want to happen is for it to actually go to 10,000, and then I'm stuck with a bunch of emotions because I never mentally prepared myself. So I always do this exercise where I go, okay, it may fall to 10,000. Am I ready? Am I going to panic sell? Do I have enough conviction? Because the reality is, if I don't have conviction at 10K, why wouldn't I sell now at 22, 21, 22K if we get a relief run to 22? Right? Doesn't make sense. But if I've gone through the mental exercise, instead of being a denier, if I go through the mental exercise, say, okay, hypothetically, stress test my own brain. If we fall to $10,000, how will I react? How will I feel? And I just play that emotion through. And I know the answer for me. The answer for me is I wouldn't panic sell. I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin. But I'm going to be annoyed that I didn't have enough cash to buy the dip. So I can preempt that now and say, okay, I'm going to go figure out some things, move some funds around, make sure I've got some in the exchange. Because if we fall to those levels, I want to be ready to buy the dip. Because my feeling is if we fall to any lower lows below 17,600, I think it'll be short and brief if it does happen, okay? So that was the first time we've seen that worrying sign here on Bitcoin. Let's also take a look at the EMA ribbon here on the 4 hourly. And what I want to show you here is we are getting rejected here from our 4 hourly EMA ribbon, okay? So, sorry, we are running into our 4 EMA ribbon. But what we want to see is, are we going to get rejected from where we're at now? You can see here, all that's happened is we've moved sideways, and the EMA ribbon's coming downwards to meet us and push us down, acting like resistance, pushing the price down. But the question is, are we going to have a little bit of a relief rally into here before falling to the downside? That's what we need to look out for. But either way, the bears are in control, and we need to respect that, okay? Very, very important. We take a look at Fear and Greed Index sitting at 28. People are a little bit more fearful now that they're seeing these lower prices below 22,000 here on Bitcoin. If we take a look at the markets had a horrible, horrible day yesterday. It was the worst day they've had since June. And that's why I'm expecting a little bit of a relief today, okay? Just a little bit of a letting loose of the pressure. Now, I can't see any major catalysts on the horizon today, but we know later on this week we do have them, right? Thursday, we have the GDP reading. Friday, we have the PCE inflation reading, which the Fed uses. Really, really important. Then we have the Jackson Hole symposium starting Thursday with Jerome Powell giving the speech on Friday. So loads to get on with on Thursday and Friday. But for today, can we just get that little bit of a green just to kind of make up for some of yesterday? Because yesterday was nasty. Now, not to mean that we've suddenly changed the rhythm. No, we're still to the downside, right? If we take a look here at the dollar index, this is another thing that's worrying for Bitcoin. I posted yesterday a YouTube short which shows that this hit a new all-time high. You can see here on the 4 hourly candle here, it hit a high of 109.27, okay? So we managed to get a high here. If you can get a body candle close above this wick here, that could be really worrying for Bitcoin. And just switching across to the daily, look at the strength here of the dollar index. Look at the strength here. We need this to call off. The only way out from here is a double top pattern, right? From a technical perspective, it's this. If you create that M pattern, also known as a double top, and you fall back down to the downside. But if you marry this up with the macroeconomics, that doesn't seem likely right now. I mean, the euro has just hit a low versus the dollar, right? The euro is very low to the dollar. So even though the US is feeling confident, their inflation's under control according to their latest CPI reading, things were feeling a little bit okay. They were having a bit of a rally last week. Now the reality is hitting that this is a global slowdown. It's all well and good that the US is doing okay, but if the global inflation is not under control, if global central banks do not have this situation under control, we could still be seeing a very difficult time for equities, because what's going to happen is those foreign inflows will come into dollars. That will power the dollar index, which weakens any assets denominated in dollar. Really important to understand that, guys. Okay, if this dollar index goes up, it makes equities fall. It makes Bitcoin and other risk-on assets fall to the downside. So we need to keep an eye on that. This is our enemy right now in the dollar index, and we need to keep an eye on that. But what is this reason that I'm thinking maybe we can get a scalp trade long? Well, there is a little bit of a scalp for you degens out there who want to trade, and you're always looking for a trade. And remember, you long-term portfolio guys, you do not need to touch these trades if you're not experienced or you don't feel like trading. We can look to try see if we can capitalize on a bit of a green day. Can we get this run up to the top of the channel here? That is what we will be looking for. And another way to kind of see this is, can we get a run up to the top of the channel here at about 21,800 with a quick tight stop loss? That would be a nice little trade. But remember, you're gonna have a lot of sell pressure at the top. A lot of people will be waiting to short from this level. So if you are doing it, make sure you're expediting your positions quickly. You're going along and then you're going a short and you're scalping those positions in between. It takes a very specific skill set to do that. Now, if I also show you this pattern, another reason why we may see a little bit of a relief here is we are hitting major support at this pivot point, right? You remember this structure that I showed you? This was the triangle which we broke down from. And now you can see we're holding strength from this pivot point here. If we fail this level, guys, once we fail this level, whether we get a little bounce first and then fail it, once we do fail it, we are then heading back down past the 20,000 support level. You will see a little bit of strength at 20,000, but then the next pivot point is down here, which I've said at 19,200, okay? This level here, 19,200 is our next level. So there'll be a lot of people ready to short that for the next move to the downside. Few other things to show you. I've shared that with you. I do want to show you the 4-hour Bollinger Band, because on the 4-hour Bollinger Band, what you'll see that we are, in fact, let's just show you that on the daily Bollinger Band instead. If I show you the daily Bollinger Band, you will now see that we're at the bottom of our Bollinger Band. So this also supports the idea that maybe you get a little bit of a relief. Can you get a little bit before then falling more to the downside? That is what we're looking out for here on the technicals. So there you have it, guys. Big week ahead. We know that Thursday, Friday are huge in terms of economic catalyst. Right now, the bears are in control of Bitcoin. Yes, if you're experienced and you want to take a few trades to the long side, you can do so. But right now, in terms of long-term positions, I'm waiting to see, do we see these lower prices? If we get a pump today in terms of my long-term portfolio, I'm not adding anything. I want to see, do we break 20,000? Do we fall below some of those levels? And then we'll get some of those juicier prices for me to accumulate. Really important that you go through that mental exercise of understanding, what would you do? Play the scenarios out. What would you do if Bitcoin hit 30,000? What would you do if Bitcoin goes below 20? What would you do if Bitcoin hits 15 or 10? Play all those scenarios so that way, when it suddenly happens and you wake up and the candle's hitting at 15,000, you're like, oh, what happened? You would have been through the mental exercise of knowing how you prepare, what's your game plan. Maybe you've written it down on a post-it note somewhere, and then you just execute on it without any emotions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to smash on the like button and subscribe. Go watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.